Welcome to Good to Great Schools Australia. I'm Shelley and I'll be leading you through this session on dynamic vocabulary strategies with Anita Archer. In this session, you'll be learning 5 strategies for teaching vocabulary to your class. When choosing what vocabulary to teach in a text, we should choose words that connect with the text theme, commonly appear in narratives, relate to words already in students' lexicon, are critical to the story, relate to students' experience, and are concrete. In this video, Anita Archer gives an example of a narrative and provides a group of words related to the passage.
If we look at this group of words, I need to tell you what the preparation was for. The students are going to read a short story that was one written about a mayor over a district in Japan. And this mayor over this district in Japan wanted access to his hunting ground. So he said to the bridge maker, please build a bridge over the gorge so I can go to my hunting ground year-round. If you do not do it before hunting season, off with your head. I will execute you. Right? That's a real thriller. So, I mean, talk about motivation. I don't even think that's been incorporated into the DI programs. No. Anyway, so your job is to look at this and you're going to pick 5 words that you say, yes, these words I'd really want to put some time into. Other words I might give the light touch, some I might not teach at all, but these I'm going to really put time into. Now, just a hint, the asterisk means that the author suggested that these be taught. So that's why they have the asterisk after it. So on your own, and I will tell you, I taught more than 5 words, but I wanted to make it harder for you. So pick 5 that are going to get the full treatment: dynamic, vocabulary instruction, review over time, assessment on, and go.
Choose 5 words from the list that you would teach your class. Think about why you would choose these words. Share your response with a colleague. In the next video, Anita Archer takes a look at the first column of words and gives her response.
There were many possible words here, and you probably didn't have perfect matches. Because it's not like perfectly scientific and you didn't know the students and hadn't read the story. But the whole purpose of this is to really hone in on words that might make more difference and reduce the amount of time that are spent on what I call boutique words, ones that the teacher had to look up, ones that they might not see often in the future. So I'm going to share with you the words I chose to put extended time, robust, dynamic vocabulary instruction. And the first word on the list is what, everyone? Obstacle. And I said, oh, I better teach obstacle, because the whole, and you didn't read the story, but the whole story's theme is overcoming obstacles. So the bridge maker had to overcome obstacles to avoid getting executed. The next word is what, everyone? Writing. Now, actually, I didn't see many people circle this except 2 7th grade language arts teachers. And they know that we don't say that word very often, but it occurs in print, in narratives quite often to share an action of a character. So I did teach it. Now, the next word is, you might have to teach, but let me just put it in perspective. The word is what, everyone? Peers. And the school I was teaching at, if you had gone to the window and looked out, there were peers. You know, and so the students did not need to be taught peers. I skipped it all together. So some words are totally related to the venue that you're teaching in.
How are your word choices similar or different to Anita Archer's? We're now going to take a look at some strategies we can use to teach new words more effectively with our students. The first strategy is relative words.
If the students already have a word in their lexicon that is a relative to the word in the passage, What you want to simply do, it won't take much time, but is to link the word to the word that they know. This word, everyone, is what? Execute. If I execute someone, I do what, everyone? I kill them. And the act of killing them is a what, everyone? An execution. And the person who actually does the killing is a what, everyone? An executioner. So in our upcoming story, one of the characters is an executioner who is asked to execute someone, and that act is the end. So that would take very little time. So if they have, big idea, if they have a word already in their lexicon of words that is a relative, back up and relate the new word to that word.
I want you to think about a topic or unit you're currently teaching. Now think of some examples of relative words you could teach your class. In the next video, Anita Archer demonstrates using a known synonym to teach a new word.
The last word is what, everyone? Emperor. Would kids know what a king is in 8th grade? So all you do is, well, they should if they like live here. So all you would do is say, in some countries, the ruler might be called a king. In Japan, that ruler would be called an emperor, the end. So it'd be because they already have a known synonym.
Now think of some examples of known synonyms you could teach to your class that relate to a unit you're currently teaching. Share these with a partner. The teaching of some words can be dependent on the environment in which you teach and students' experiences. When we teach words based upon the context in which we teach, we refer to these words as context words.
Many of you said instead pick the word invited. And you know, that would be so dependent on the environment that your children are raised in. Some children would have gone to many play dates and many parties and many holiday activities. And then some of your children have never had that experience, so they have no idea what invited is. So you really have to make choices based on the venue that you're teaching in.
Now I'd like you to think of some examples of context words that you could teach to your class. Carefully selected vocabulary pairs can allow one word to facilitate the learning of the other. Listen as Anita Archer explains.
Now it's so interesting because of the remaining words, many of you said, I am going to teach nervous and relieved. And one person said, not only that, it's sort of like recipe and ingredient. I'm going to juxtapose those words right next to each other because if you learn one, it will actually facilitate the acquisition of the other. Woo, woo, woo. And so if I have something difficult to do, then I am, what, everyone? Nervous, but when it's over, I am relieved.
Now I'd like you to think of word pairs you could teach to your class. Sometimes in a text, the form of a word can be quite complex. A way to facilitate students' learning of a complex word can be to teach an easier word from the word family.
The next word is what, everyone? Desperation. Big idea. Get this one. That when a material lists the word that you're going to teach, they almost always list the word exactly as it appears in the story or in the science or the social studies textbook. But it's better to look at that word and teach the easier member of the family. Always teach the easiest member of the family and then generalize it to the word in print. So I want you to whisper to your partner, instead of teaching desperation, what word might I teach? Whisper to your partner and go. Well, instead of teaching desperation, teach desperate. And that is exactly what I did on that day. This word is what, everyone? Desperate. When you're desperate, you need something and you need it right now. When you are desperate, you need something and you need it right now. For example, if you were out in the desert and you didn't have your water bottle, your glass of water, your backup water, and now you need water, she would be what, everyone? Desperate. And the related word in our passage is the word, what, everyone? Desperation. Okay? And so this is really an important one, because sometimes it's almost impossible to teach the word that the students are going to read. It would be better to back up and teach a relative. Let me give you a perfect example. So one day I am asked to teach, and one of the words I'm going to teach is piteously. Piteously. Do you realize how difficult it would be to teach piteously? I'm not going to teach piteously. I'm going to teach pity. And that would be, and then I can morph it into piteously.
So you've now learnt 5 new strategies for teaching vocabulary. I'd like you to choose 2 strategies to trial with your class this week. Feedback to your colleagues your experience and the result. That brings our session to a close. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you in our next session, Connected Word Strategies with Anita Archer.